I bought a leaf spring for the next test. Each piece of metal is just under 3/8 of an inch or just over 9 millimeters. Let's increase the weight on the pulley to 20 pounds, which works out to around 175 pounds of force on the drill bit. Let's also go ahead and lower the RPM to 340. I'll go ahead and get rid of the timer since it's in the way and it's not very precise. And this spring steel is really putting the DeWalt drill bit to the test. The spring steel isn't nearly as thick as the mild steel plate, but it's a lot more challenging for the drill bits. And the DeWalt is finally finished in 46.9 seconds. The leading edge of the chisel and the tip has some minor wear and tear. The Makita drilled through the half-inch mild steel plate faster than the DeWalt, and the Makita seems to be making faster progress once again this time. And the Makita is around 8 seconds faster at 38.4. And the Makita did indeed experience some wear and tear to the tip and the leading edge of the chisel. The German-made DeWalt blasted through the mild steel with the fastest time and is plowing through the spring steel like it's soft as butter. And the DeWalt is already finished in only 21.89 seconds to move into the lead. And the DeWalt with the Cobalt held up quite a bit better than the regular high-speed steel DeWalt and Makita bits. The Comaware made very quick work of the mild steel, and it's already shredding this spring steel like the DeWalt Cobalt. And the Comaware barely outperformed the DeWalt Cobalt at 21.79 seconds. Very impressive. The Comaware appears to be holding up the best yet and still looks nearly as good as new. The GM Tools is still in pretty good shape and is making pretty good progress through the spring steel. However, the GM Tools is quite a bit slower than the DeWalt Cobalt and the Comaware at 28.8 seconds. And there's quite a bit more visible wear and tear to the GM Tools compared to the Comaware. The Bosch performed well in the previous review, but it seems to have lost a step this time. And the Bosch came to a sudden stop during breakthrough, and it's a little bit faster than the GM Tools at 27.78 seconds to move into third place behind the DeWalt Cobalt. M42 Cobalt can be pretty brittle, and the Bosch did experience a chip which will hurt its performance in the next test. The name Caroler, which means fierce in battle or strong, carries with it pretty big expectations. For an M35 Cobalt bit, the Caroler really struggled in this test at 33.89 seconds. The point and the leading edge of the flutes just don't look nearly as sharp as they did when they were new. The Hi-Fire is fired up, but not fired up enough to compete with the DeWalt Cobalt and the Comaware. However, the Hi-Fire is performing better than the Caroler at just over 29 seconds. However, the Hi-Fire did experience quite a bit of wear and tear. And the Milwaukee made very easy work of the half-inch mild steel, and it seems to be drilling just as fast as through the much harder spring steel. And the Milwaukee moves into the lead at 17.65 seconds. Very impressive. The Milwaukee only experienced a very small amount of wear and tear. The Warrior made very easy work of the mild steel, but the spring steel is slowing down the Warrior quite a bit. And the Warrior is still performing well this time at 22.05 seconds to move into fourth place. Unfortunately, the Warrior did experience quite a bit of battle damage to both sides of the drill bit. Drill America also made a pretty fast pass through the mild steel and is performing faster than average once again this time. And the Drill America is finished in 24.22 seconds. And the Drill America held up quite a bit better than the Harbor Freight Warrior bits and is still in pretty good condition. The Irwin wasn't nearly as fast as the Warrior and the Drill America drilling through mild steel, but is performing well with the spring steel this time. And the Irwin is finished in 24.16 seconds, which is about the same as the Drill America. However, the Irwin held up really well and still looks nearly as good as new. And the Drill Hog just doesn't seem to be designed for speed compared to some of the other brands. And the Drill Hog is a little bit slower than average at 28.71 seconds. However, the Drill Hog did hold up really well with only minor wear and tear. Just like the Drill Hog, the Viking doesn't seem to be designed for making quick work. Durability is another factor to consider, and the Viking finished in 31.82 seconds, or about 3 seconds slower than the Drill Hog. Just like the Drill Hog, the Viking held up really well and looks nearly as good as new. So the Milwaukee made the fastest pass through the spring steel in only 17.65 seconds. The Comaware finished in second place at 21.79 seconds, and DeWalt Cobalt third at 21.89. So the drill bits have drilled through half-inch mild steel and spring steel. So let's go ahead and drill through the half-inch mild steel one more time to see how much drilling speed they lost. I'll set up the drill press with 15 pounds and 600 RPM once again. And the DeWalt high-speed steel is about 1 second slower this time at 24.58 seconds. The Makita drilled through mild steel the first time in only 20.76 seconds. The Makita is about 26% slower this time at 28.35 seconds. The DeWalt Cobalt was the fastest drill in the lineup at 16.36 seconds the first time. And the German-made DeWalt continues to impress at about 1 second slower this time at 17.45. The Comaware drilled through mild steel the first time in only 19.65 seconds. And the Comaware is actually faster this time in only 18.68 seconds to move into second place behind the DeWalt Cobalt. The GM Tools made a pretty fast pass through mild steel the first time at 20.55 seconds. However, it did experience quite a bit of wear and tear, and it needs 4 seconds longer this time at 24.01. The Bosch experienced a pretty bad chip that usually hurts the performance of a drill bit, and the Bosch needs about 20% more time at just over 38 seconds. The Caroler is now battle-tested with spring steel and did experience quite a bit of wear and tear, and the Caroler is about 5 seconds slower this time at around 29 seconds. The Hi-Fire did experience some damage drilling through spring steel. Unfortunately, the high fire didn't quite drill through the mild steel this time, and I ended the test at just over 3 minutes. The Milwaukee uses a unique design that appears to have a break-in period, and the Milwaukee is actually 19% faster this time at 17.24 seconds to move into the lead. Very impressive. The Warrior did experience quite a bit of damage drilling through spring steel. Unfortunately, the Warrior lost around 26% drilling speed at 26.59 seconds. The Drill America held up really well after the spring steel, and the Drill America is finished in only 21.89 seconds, or less than a second difference. The Irwin also held up really well drilling through the spring steel. However, the Irwin needs about 3 seconds longer this time at 27 seconds. The Drill Hog doesn't seem to be designed for speed, but it does hold up well. And the Drill Hog is finished this time in 32.54 seconds. The Viking was also pretty slow drilling through mild steel the first time, but it held up really well. And the Viking is actually faster this time at 31.82 seconds. After drilling through mild and spring steel, the Milwaukee is now the fastest drill bit in the lineup, drilling through mild steel in only 17.24 seconds. However, the DeWalt Cobalt is almost as fast as 17.45. And the Comaware also performed very well at 18.68 seconds.